Deep dive. We're here to really focus in and get you the core insights you need.
Exactly. Straight to the point.
Today, we're jumping into creative writing, using the Young Writers Odyssey E-Twinning project guide as our map.
It's a great guide. Really covers a lot.
Our mission to unpack why it's important and how you can actually, use it.
Yep. We've sifted through the guide. It covers everything from the definition, the benefits for your brain, real-life stuff, getting over writer's block,
Finding ideas, characters, plot, all that good stuff.
literary devices, different styles, editing the works. We're pulling out the essentials.
And this is for you, the learner. You want knowledge fast, you love those aha moments, but hate feeling swamped.
So we've structured this to be clear, hopefully engaging, and definitely practical.
Okay, let's dive in. First things first, what is creative writing, fundamentally?
Well, at its heart, it's writing driven by imagination, by emotion.
Okay.
Think stories, poems, plays, even journaling or personal essays. Anywhere your unique voice and originality come through.
So it's different from, say, writing a school report.
Exactly. The guide draws that line clearly. Academic writing is usually about structured info analysis. Creative writing, that imaginative spark comes first.
Got it. So it's more than just playing with words, then. Why should we bother tapping into this creative side? What's the value?
Oh, huge value. The guide points to some really key things. On a personal level, it's a powerful way to express your feelings
Right.
and to understand yourself better. It can even be a great tool for managing stress or anxiety.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Getting things out creatively. It feels good.
It really can. Very cathartic.
But, okay, beyond just feeling better, does it help in other ways? Like academically?
It does, surprisingly. Flexing those creative muscles actually builds academic skills. It boosts your vocabulary, sharpens your
Yeah.
grammar.
Really? How so?
Well, when you're playing with language creatively, trying to find just the right word, you get a better feel for how it works. That makes writing those essays or reports, less daunting.
Ah, okay, so it's like a hidden advantage for schoolwork. Interesting. Now, what about our brains? What's happening up there when we write creatively?
That's fascinating, too. The guide says it really hones cognitive skills. Like, it improves how you organize thoughts and ideas.
How does that work?
When you're building a story or shaping a poem, you're basically training your brain to structure information logically. Think of it as mental organization practice.
Okay, yeah, plotting definitely requires some structure. What else?
Problem solving gets a workout, too.
Oh,
You're constantly exploring possibilities, right? How to resolve a plot point, finding the perfect word. It pushes you to find new solutions.
Makes sense.
And of course, it's just a fantastic channel for self-expression. Makes it easier to get your feelings and thoughts out clearly.
All right, so good for the soul, good for the mind. Let's talk real world stuff. What are the tangible benefits? How does this help us day to day?
Well, connecting back to school, the guide stresses better performance. Essays, projects, exams, they all get easier with strong writing skills.
Okay, beyond school.
Oh, definitely. Think about future jobs. Obvious ones like teaching, journalism,
Sure.
but also marketing, business, anywhere you need to communicate clearly, persuasively, creatively. It's a huge asset.
That's a great point. Telling a good story, whether it's fiction or a business pitch, is powerful. And socially, too.
Yeah. Thinking carefully about how you phrase things in writing. That often translates to being a clearer, more confident speaker. Better communication skills all around.
Okay, I'm sold on the benefits. Now, for some inspiration, the guide has some great quotes.
It really does. Like C.S. Lewis. You can make anything by writing.
Wow.
Just think about that potential, the power in putting words together. For you listening, it's a reminder your ideas matter.
I love that. And Einstein, not usually linked with creative writing.
Right. But he said creativity is intelligence having fun. A brilliant reminder that it's not all serious effort, there's joy in it.
Absolutely. Fun intelligence. And one more.
Louis Moore gives a practical push. Start writing, no matter what. The water does not flow until the faucet is turned on.
It's got to start. Simple but true.
Exactly.
Okay, so these are inspiring words, but is there actual science behind these benefits?
Yes, the guide mentions some cool studies. Cambridge University, for instance, found creative writers tend to be better problem solvers.
Ah, linking back to what you said earlier.
Exactly. Reinforces that idea about mental organization and finding new angles.
What else did the research show?
Well, writing about emotions, it can actually boost your emotional intelligence.
Ow.
By exploring feelings on paper, you get more tuned into them and better at understanding others' emotions too. connecting better.
That's powerful.
And maybe the biggest one for well-being studies show writing can lower anxiety, improve overall mental health.
That's incredible. It's like exercise for your mind and emotions.
Pretty much.
The guide also has these amazing origin stories for famous books, starting from simple exercises.
Yeah, these are great. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein started as part of a writing challenge between friends. Just a casual prompt.
No way, Frankenstein. From a game.
Yeah. Shows how even playful creativity can lead to something massive, right?
Absolutely mind-blowing. Who else?
J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter.
Ugh.
It all began with notes she scribbled down on a train journey.
Just notes on a train.
Capturing those fleeting ideas, look what they became.
Wow. From a train to a global phenomenon. Amazing. One more.
A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh, directly inspired by his son's toys.
Ah, that's lovely.
Yeah, a sweet reminder that inspiration is often right there in everyday things.
These stories are so encouraging. It makes the whole process feel less intimidating. Okay, let's talk about the flip side. The dreaded writer's block. Everyone hits it, right?
Oh, absolutely. The guide digs into why. It could be perfectionism, that inner critic.
Yeah, the it's not good enough voice.
Exactly. Or self-doubt. But also practical things, burnout, just feeling unmotivated, stress from outside.
Or just thinking too hard about it.
Totally. Overthinking is a big one. It's pretty universal.
So that blank page staring back. What does the guide suggest? How do we break through?
Lots of practical stuff. Things like morning pages, just writing whatever comes to mind first thing, stream of consciousness style, gets the pump primed.
Okay, just get words flowing.
Or using specific creative prompts to give yourself a starting point. Sometimes just changing where you write helps.
A change of scenery.
Yeah, coffee shop, park bench, whatever.
Hmm.
Also, using timers, like the Pomodoro technique, short busts of focus writing, makes it less overwhelming.
Right, breaking it down. What if you're stuck on the story itself?
The guide suggests reverse outlining. Look at what you have written, outline that, and see where the gaps or next steps might be.
Ah, working backwards. Clever.
Or shifting perspective. Try writing a scene from a different character's view. That can unlock things.
Ooh, I like that.
And then there's free writing. The guide defines it simply. Just write nonstop. Don't worry about grammar, spelling, making sense.
Just pure word vomit.
Basically. Just get it out without judging. It's surprisingly freeing.
Okay, sounds liberating. So once we're past the block, how do we find inspiration? Where do ideas come from?
So many places. The guide says read widely, different genres, poetry, essays, soak it all up.
Expand your horizons.
Engage with other arts too, music, painting, photography. It sparks different parts of your brain.
Yeah, cross-pollination of ideas.
Travel, new experiences, always great fuel. But even just observing. Watch people. Listen ethically, of course.
Haha, right. No creepy eavesdropping.
No, but you get snippets of dialogue. Observe mannerisms. It's all material. And mind mapping is great too, visually brainstorming ideas.
Lots of avenues. And it's comforting that even the greats struggled with blocks, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Hemingway, Stephen King, Agatha Christie, Maya Angelou, Fitzgerald, Harper Lee, Mark Twain, George R. Martin. They all talked about it.
So it's normal, phew.
Completely normal. Part of the
Yeah.
process. Finding ways to cope is key.
Okay, so the guide has specific exercises to generate ideas too, like little games.
Yeah, some fun ones.
Yeah.
The dialogue challenge. Write a scene only using dialogue. Forces you to show, not tell, through speech.
Tricky, but I can see how that helps.
Or the word association game. Start with a random word, jot down connected ideas, see if a story emerges.
Like a creative brainstorm. What else?
Try rewriting the ending of a famous story. Explore different paths.
Oh, that sounds fun. What if?
Exactly. Or create a detailed backstory for a minor character that can sometimes spark whole new plot lines.
Digging deeper.
And just asking, what if? What if gravity suddenly reversed? What if dogs could talk? Those kinds of imaginative leaps.
Okay, great practical props. Now let's shift to characters. How do we make them feel, real, compelling?
Well, the guide says realism comes from flaws. Characters need strengths and weaknesses, just like real people.
Not perfect heroes.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And they need clear motivations. Why are they doing what they're doing? Readers connect with that depth, that relatability.
Right, understanding their why. And what about how characters change? Arcs and backstories.
Crucial. Character arcs show how the story impacts them, how they grow or change or maybe even fall. That journey is captivating.
The transfer.
In backstories, they explain the why we just talked about.
Yeah.
Their past shapes their present actions, beliefs, fears,
Yeah.
adds layers.
Got it. History matters, even for fictional people. Okay, let's talk structure. Plot. What are the key ingredients for a story that flows well?
The guide lays out the classic structure. You start with the setup, setting, characters.
Introduce us to the world.
Then, the inciting incident, the thing that kicks off the main story.
It's a spark.
Then rising action challenges, conflicts, building tension, leads to the climax.
The big moment.
Yep, the peak. After that, falling action, things start winding down, leading to the resolution where the main conflict gets sorted out.
A familiar journey. And the guide mentions the hero's journey, too.
Briefly, yeah. It outlines that common pattern. Ordinary world, call to adventure, maybe refusing at first,
Meeting a mentor.
crossing into the unknown, facing tests, allies, enemies, the big ordeal, getting a reward, the journey back, maybe one last test, and returning changed.
It's everywhere when you look for it.
It really is.
Now, to make this concrete, the guide looks at some famous literary characters. Who stands out?
Holden Caulfield is one, from Catcher in the Rye. So raw, honest, that teenage angst.
A classic voice.
Jay Gatsby, the dreamer, chasing the past, symbolizes that whole tragic side of the American dream.
Unforgettable. Who else?
Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. Smart, independent, witty, refusing to just conform.
Love her.
Harry Potter, of course. Ordinary kid becomes a hero. Courage, loyalty, morality.
Relatable heroism.
And Atticus Finch from To Kill a Mockingbird. That quiet integrity, fighting for justice. Calm strength.
Icons. All of them. Okay, so when we're writing our own characters, how do we make their conversations pop? Dialogue and conflict tips.
Keep dialogue natural is key advice.
Yeah.
Interruptions, pauses, ums and ahs. Like real speech.
Read it aloud.
Definitely read it aloud. It helps catch awkward phrasing. And remember, conflict often comes from characters wanting different things. Opposing goals.
Makes sense. Drives the tension.
And use subtext. What's not said can be super powerful. The meaning between the lines.
Ah, the unspoken stuff. Crucial. What about painting a picture with words? Using senses.
Vital. Describe smells, tastes, textures, sounds. It pulls the reader right in, makes the world feel tangible, real, creates that connection.
Immersive experience, got it. And literary devices. The guide touches on those.
Yeah, they're tools to add depth, create vivid images, make things more relatable. Think metaphors, similes, comparing things in interesting ways. They just enrich the writing.
Adds that layer of artistry. And setting. How do we make the place feel alive, not just a backdrop?
Show characters interacting with their surroundings. Makes it feel real. Use those sensory details again. Sight, sound, smell. And think about mood, atmosphere. How does the setting feel? Does it match the emotional tone?
So setting plays an active role. Cool. Now, style across genres. This is interesting. How does writing change for, say, fantasy versus horror?
Big differences. Fantasy often uses really imaginative, descriptive language, lots of world-building detail. The guide quotes Rothfuss, "Sympathy was like threading a needle." Very evocative.
Right. Fix the magical feel. Horror.
Horror aims for excitement, fear, dread. So vivid, often visceral descriptions of scary stuff. The quote from Psycho House, with an old, thin smell, instant creepy vibes.
Sets the mood immediately. Historical fiction.
Needs those details, how people lived, dressed, talked back then. Maybe some period language. The Ken Follett quote about building the cathedral captures that sense of time and effort.
Grounding it in the past. Romance.
Big focus on feelings, the relationship dynamics, lots of inner thoughts, emotional connection. The Pride and Prejudice quote, "In vain have I struggled." Classic internal conflict and passion.
Captures that intensity. Sci-fi.
Deals with future ideas, tech, space. Needs to explain concepts clearly but still be imaginative. The Dune quote about sand being valuable instantly tells you about this unique, harsh world.
Establishes the rules of the world. And mystery.
Often clear, careful writing, giving clues piece by piece, holding back info to build suspense. The Agatha Christie quote about the isolated island creates that perfect closed circle, dangerous feel.
Setting the stage for suspense. Wow, genre really shapes the words. The guy has these brilliant before and after examples too. Plain versus descriptive.
Yeah, they really show the difference. Like plain, the pasta tasted good.
Okay. Functional.
Descriptive, the pasta was rich and velvety, coated in a creamy garlic sauce. Hints of basil and sun-dried tomato dancing on the tongue.
Oh. Okay, I'm hungry now. Huge difference. What about a scene?
Plain. The forest was quiet. The trees were tall. Descriptive. The forest stood in hushed stillness. Towering pines reached toward the sky like ancient guardians.
Much more atmospheric. You can picture it, feel it. Emotion example.
Plain. She was scared. Descriptive. Her breath caught. Hands trembled, shadows stretched and twisted, every creak echoed like a menacing whisper.
Yikes. Yeah, that conveys fear way better. Puts you right there with her.
Exactly. Shows the power of detail.
So how do we practice getting better at this? The guide has exercises.
Loads of them, like the sensory details exercise, pick an object, describe it using all 5 senses.
Okay, focus practice.
Or the before and after challenge, take your own plain sentences and punch them up, like the examples.
Applying the lesson directly. Good. What else?
One word, multiple descriptions. Take sunset, describe it 5 different ways,
Right.
stretches your vocabulary. Object through different lenses, describe a teacup like it's precious, then like it's junk. Changes perspective.
Playing with perspective.
Setting in motion. Describe a place focusing on movement and change. Makes it dynamic.
Nice. Any more?
Sure. Metaphor and simile exercise practice using figurative language.
Oh.
Rewrite a simple theme, take something basic you wrote, and layer in more description. 5-word story, super concise description challenge.
Forces you to choose words carefully.
And characters' eyes describe a scene purely from one character's POV. What do they notice?
So many great ways to practice. Okay, we write, we describe, then comes editing. Crucial, right?
Absolutely essential. The guide hammers this home. Editing turns that rough draft into something polished, compelling. It's not just fixing typos.
It's shaping it.
Right. Improving style, content, clarity. The guide says it perfectly. Writing is rewriting.
That's the truth. How do the pros handle revision?
Well, the guide quotes Paola Italia, who talks about writing being a process. The final book isn't the whole story. It's the result of messy drafts, changes, effort. She mentions Scarafaggi d'Autore, the author's messy papers.
So those scribbled notes and crossed out bits are part of the art.
Exactly. Revision is inherent to creation.
Okay. And the guide lists common errors to look out for during editing.
Yep, the usual suspects. Spelling, grammar mistakes, sentence fragments, punctuation issues, run-on sentences.
Word choice errors like there versus there.
Redundancy, saying the same thing twice.
Mm-hmm.
Misplaced modifiers, confusing sentence structure. Inconsistent tense, lack of clarity.
A good checklist. And advice for fixing them, like spelling.
The advice is pretty straightforward but important. Revise carefully, use spell check but don't rely on it solely. Learn rules, practice tricky words, read more, use a dictionary, slow down when you edit.
Be meticulous, pay attention.
That's the gist. Develop good habits.
Okay, wrapping up, the guide revisits the different forms and styles. We talked genres, but focusing on the forms.
Right. It lists mystery, horror, fantasy, historical fiction, romance, science fiction, and literary fiction again. Just reinforcing that each has its own typical characteristics and techniques, as we discussed with the style examples.
So, for someone wanting to try different forms, what are the tips?
Key tips: read a lot in the form you're interested in. Analyze how it works.
Well, from the masters.
Embrace the constraints or conventions of that form. They can actually help guide you. Don't be scared to mix elements from different forms.
Hybrid genres.
Focus on the core elements of whatever form you're trying. Get feedback from people who know the form. And keep a notebook for ideas related to specific forms.
Great practical steps for experimenting.
Definitely. And, finishing this deep dive, it's just so clear how valuable creative writing is. It's not just a hobby.
No, it really hits personal growth, school, even potential careers.
It sharpens your thinking, your problem solving, helps you express yourself, communicate better. The benefits are huge.
And backed by science, inspired by amazing origin stories. Even tackling writer's block seems doable with these strategies.
Absolutely. Plenty ways to find inspiration too.
So here's a final thought for you listening. Think about how weaving even small bits of creative writing into your routine could open things up for you. New ways to think, new ways to express yourself no matter what you do day to day.
Yeah, try one of the techniques. Explore a genre that sparks your interest. Just take that first small step.
You really might surprise yourself with what you find.